Hello and welcome to Small Seeds. Today I am sharing how I make a herbal cough and cold syrup using elderberries, spices, and some very helpful wild-crafted herbs. So as I make this syrup, I would really love to talk to you about the herbs going into it. So let's start with the elderberries. Elderberries are one of the most popular herbal supplements taken for immune system health and as a preventative for colds and flus. They are also taken as a remedy for colds and flus to help ease the symptoms and possibly shorten the duration of sickness, and it is known to stimulate the production of cytokines that help to regulate the immune response. Studies done with elderberry have shown its antiviral potential in its ability to inhibit viruses from binding to cells, therefore making it harder for a virus to infect a cell and replicate. At this time of year, I am using dried elderberries. So we bring our elderberries and our water to a boil and then reduce the heat to a low simmer. And after doing that, I add in my spices. Now the spices I add in are star anise, cinnamon, and cloves. And though I add these in for some extra flavor, they also have their own added benefits. And as you can see, smashing them into smaller pieces is quite fun and possibly therapeutic. So along with these aromatic spices, I add in some lemon slices. Spices, lemon slices, Okay, so the next set of ingredients are definitely the ones that excite me the most because they were wildcrafted. Woo! So I didn't have to buy these ingredients and I didn't have to grow them either. Nature did, and I'm happy and thankful for that. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love growing food and herbs for remedies in our garden, and definitely purchase herbs for making remedies as well. However, there is something so satisfying to me about using wild plants, especially the ones that people usually detest and call weeds and try to eradicate because they make their precious lawns look less than manicured. So they are free, helpful, and all I have to do is first, of course, be 100% positive in my identification, harvest, and then, well, eat them, or make them into something. The first wild ingredient I sought out were rosehips, and these hips belong to the very invasive species of rose which is found growing almost everywhere around here, and that is the Japanese multiflora rose. And even though they are teensy tiny, these roses got hips. And rosehips are chock full of vitamin C, which is always great to add to a homemade cold remedy. So these rosehips are also added in with my spices, lemon slices on low. After letting them simmer for about 30 minutes, it is time to strain the decoction and then infuse my wildcrafted herbs into it. These herbs, which I gathered from summer to late in the autumn, are dwarf common mallow, plantain, Selfheal, and mullein. All four of these herbs are classified as soothing expectorants in herbal medicine. Expectorants aid the body in coughing up excess mucus, as well as any pathogens or irritants contained within the mucus. These expectorants are soothing because they contain a large amount of mucilage, which gives them a demulcent action. So I harvested the roots of dwarf common mallow, and these roots have the most demulcent action compared to the other three herbs because they contain more mucilage. Mucilage has a slimy, almost gooey texture, and it aids the body in soothing and protecting mucous membranes. Demulcent herbs that contain mucilage often have a cooling and moistening effect, and when used for respiratory conditions, they are often best suited for dry, irritated lungs, sore throats, and dry, unproductive coughs. So not only do they help soothe and moisten dry and inflamed mucous membranes, they also help to loosen and break up overly thick mucus that may be hard to cough up, therefore helping the cough to be more productive and less painful. Now, if the cough is more of a wet cough, then stimulating expectorants are used instead, since soothing expectorants may just end up moistening an already wet condition. A good example of stimulating expectorants are thyme and cayenne peppers. The next herb that I add in is Selfheal flower buds and leaves. Selfheal is astringent, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and also slightly demulcent. And it has been used for sore throats, swollen lymph nodes, and respiratory ailments. Next is some dried plantain leaves. Plantain is an herb best known for its wound healing capabilities. It's astringent, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and it's also slightly demulcent, and it has been traditionally used for respiratory ailments and sore throats. And lastly, I am adding in mullein, which is an amazing herb for the lungs. It is slightly demulcent, anti-inflammatory, and a relaxant, so it is also used for spasmodic coughs. Sadly, I had already used most of the mullein that I had dried out, but I still added in these last little mullein crumbles. Okay, so I steeped these herbs for about 30 minutes, and then I had to strain them out as well, which I think I got a little too into it, and I ended up breaking my wooden spoon. I don't know why it took me so long to strain this, but finally it was done, and then I added in my last and sweetest ingredient of them all, some raw local honey. Honey has its own set of benefits like being antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory, and even though it does not contain mucilage, it is a demulcent because it also helps to coat mucous membranes. Honey is a tried and true remedy for sore throats, and adding it to this syrup will sweeten it, extend its shelf life, and, well, make it into a syrup, really. Alright, so there we have it, a delicious, nutritious, lung and throat soothing, immune boosting syrup which tastes great. Thank you guys so much for joining me in making this syrup, and just to let you know, I made a much more detailed video on making elderberry syrup, which you can find a link to in the description, and I will also have this recipe in the description as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and also, you obviously don't have to use these exact herbs. I am always changing it up, and of course certain herbs are best suited for certain conditions. So I encourage you to learn about your herbs, get creative, and of course, have some fun. Alright, thank you. Have a wonderful day.